Hey guys, my name is Kyle Maurer. I'm the lead organizer for WordCamp Ann Arbor 2017. This is our fourth year of having an awesome WordPress conference in beautiful Ann Arbor, Michigan. And this year, we're talking with all of our top level sponsors just to understand a little bit more about what they're doing in the world of WordPress and what to expect from them at this conference, which is coming up. We're now, I think, 15 days out from day one, 15 or 16 days. So it's fast approaching. And with me today, I'm excited to have Josh Ward of Nexcess Hosting. How you doing, Josh?
I'm good, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
I am pretty stoked about our discussion. You and I haven't met in person, as I understand it. You just recently relocated. So this is going to be your first time attending WordCamp Ann Arbor.
Yeah, really excited. Really excited. I did just move from Texas, and I've been to WordCamp Austin a few times, and so yeah, I'm interested in seeing how it's different, and I hear better. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, better. Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, rumors fly in the WordPress community here, but that's not what I'm going to dispute. We worked pretty hard on this conference.
Good.
And so where are you living now?
I'm actually out in Brighton. Yeah, so
Right. Great.
my wife and kids, we sort of drove around a bunch in the area, but Brighton felt more like the little town we're from in outside of Austin than just about anywhere else. So yeah, it worked out nicely.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot happening in that area. Some cool tech stuff in the Detroit and Southeast Michigan. And Nexcess is definitely doing pretty cool things. So let's get a little background on you, Josh. How long have you been with Nexcess? How'd you end up there, and what's your role?
Yeah, so I've been at Nexcess for just over 3 years now. VP of sales for most of that time. I actually came to Nexcess. I was a client, so I was working at another hosting company, and we co-located at the original Nexcess facility over in Dearborn, and that's how I got to know Chris, our founder, and then I would say a small part of the team. So when I first found Nexcess, there was maybe 12 employees, 12, 15.
Wow.
Or at least that's what it felt like. Maybe there was 25, I don't know. But yeah, kind of a small group. And my background originally, I was a Linux admin way back in the day, longer ago than I'd care to think about at the moment. But I went from that to doing sales and marketing. Had a nice kind of winding road through both of those fields, and then found my way back into tech and specifically hosting. And it was just sort of a good, for me, it was a really good merge of the tech side that I was familiar with, especially in open source software in general, and then the sales and marketing piece is sort of where my ultimate passion lies. So
Sure.
anyways, that's how I got to Nexcess.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So quite the background. Now you're the VP of sales. What are some of your responsibilities? What's someone as VP of sales even doing day to day?
Yeah, it's at a place like Nexcess, and again, just kind of my experience in hosting. VP of sales is it's a diverse role, more diverse than probably in other industries, just because usually sales and marketing is kind of the last piece to grow in a hosting company, right? So heavy on the tech and the infrastructure and the support side, because those are the by far the most critical pieces. And word of mouth in the hosting industry usually carries a company pretty far. So yeah. So when I came into Nexcess, like there was all this infrastructure and all this goodwill sort of already in place, and then finding ways to augment that is sort of that's probably my number one directive, right? But I manage the marketing team, so marketing falls under sales at Nexcess, which sort of scratches that itch for me. And sales and marketing just being right next to each other and working together is always more effective than sort of having two separate kingdoms at odds with each other sometimes. So yeah, so I manage the direct sales team, those guys and girls that are dealing directly with our clients and our prospects, our channel sales team who are building out our partnerships with developers, and then marketing, and then provisioning actually sits. We have, I guess, provisioning and service delivery actually sit in sales as well. So when you order something, we build it, we get it going, kind of off the ground, and then service delivery bridges that gap between sales and and support, especially with our larger enterprise level clients where a lot of project-based support work happens.
All right. Well, there could be somebody watching this video who doesn't know a lot about Nexcess. I've had a lot of experience interacting with people at Nexcess before. It's one of a few awesome Michigan-based web hosting companies, which I love. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about what's special about Nexcess, especially talking to somebody who has worked with a lot of different web hosting companies over the years. And my wife is even employed by a web hosting company. I know a little bit about web hosting companies and where they all fit into this big, beautiful world of web hosting. Where does Nexcess fit into that picture, and what's special about this company?
Yeah, so a couple of different things. I mean, I think, for purposes of this conference and this discussion, right, we are Michigan-based. Chris is our founder is a U of M grad, so I mean, I guess maybe don't necessarily hold that against him, but if you're from U of M, then that we've got that going. Yeah, Michigan-based. Somebody coming from Texas, a state that has a lot of state pride. I really like that. Michigan feels very similar to that, where Michiganders really love the state and love doing business with companies in the state, and that's been really awesome to see. It's not, I get to travel quite a bit, and I would say that's not true, definitely not true of everywhere. So Michigan and Texas sort of, I think, have a kinship in that way.
Wow.
From a company standpoint, yeah, I think if you peek behind the curtain in hosting, the hardware, the infrastructure, the underlying technology is really homogenous in a lot of ways. It's hard to compete and be unique when it comes to processors or the type of hardware that's in the data center. And that's sort of where I think Chris realized that early on that that's not where we've tried to compete. It's really on the support and the people side. And I know a lot of hosting companies say that. But that's really where we've carved a niche out. So WordPress is it's probably the second biggest group of our clients. The first being e-commerce merchants, either with Magento or running WooCommerce on WordPress, are sort of right up at the top of our biggest client base. And because we're supporting businesses, because we tend to support a lot of companies that rely on their websites to actively make money. It's their storefront, it's their analog for a brick and mortar. We can't skimp when it comes to support and the training that our techs get, all the way from the tier 1 up to our enterprise support group. Like we invest more there than we do anywhere else. And then the secondary piece is, for a company our size, we have I think almost 150 employees at this point. So for a company of our size, it's pretty unique to own and operate the actual facility, right? We don't colo anywhere. We have the facilities here in our primary facility in Southfield, Michigan, a secondary facility in Dearborn, and then we've got a couple more buildings that we're building out here in the Southfield area that should be online in the next 12 months or so. And you don't find that with companies that are sort of our middle in between size, right? And so we're never going to blame Amazon for an outage, right? It's not Amazon's fault. It's not our provider's fault. If there is an outage, then we've got literally our techs are sitting next to or eating lunch with the folks in the data center, our facilities team, everybody who's responsible for keeping things up and running. And I think that gives us a big advantage over some of our smaller and mid-sized competitors, and it puts us on a even playing field with some of the larger hosting companies that you may go and look at. The other piece is, we can offer co-location services. So we do have a pretty broad set of packages, right? Anything from very vanilla shared hosting up through enterprise clusters, and then like I said, co-location. So we do a lot of co-location for companies that are local to Michigan and the Detroit area in general. And that's kind of unique too. Sometimes I think co-location goes in waves. Like, it sort of goes out of, nobody wants colo anymore. They think it's silly, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, no, I totally want colo. I want to, so you see that market, which is funny to watch.
Wow, yeah, that's definitely kind of like the inside joke that none of us outside the hosting industry would have any idea about that sort of thing. But it's cool, and that does sound unique. There's no question. I've talked to a lot of web hosts, and a lot of people in sales from web hosts. I make it a point to every event that I attend, which is a lot of events. I speak to absolutely every representative from every web host. I don't go to sessions very often. I spend my time talking to everyone who's there. And I've been running an interview show for 3 years. I talk to a lot of people. So I can say that what you described is pretty unique. There's not that many companies that I encounter who are approaching things that way, with your own facilities, and serving a broad base of customers, and handling everything in-house that way. That's pretty special. I really can't think of that many that I've ever encountered who are doing it quite like that. It's cool.
Cool. Yeah, it is cool. It's fun to say that, like, the best thing about Nexcess is the people, and believe that with a passion, right? It's not just marketing banter. Like, it's at the core of, sort of how we approach problems internally every day, and that's a lot of fun.
I'm big in e-commerce. That's what I do. I work for an e-commerce plugin company, and you said that e-commerce customers are a very large segment for you. What are some of the things that you're really proud of that Nexcess does to serve that market really well?
Yeah, there's at sort of the base level, things like PCI compliant hosting, and then taking that just a little bit farther and having PCI is hard. It's hard. There's, I don't know, 300 some odd plus requirements that the payment card industry, puts on merchants. It's difficult to navigate that. So in addition to sort of handling the infrastructure and the hosting piece of PCI compliance, having experts on staff so that when our clients have questions about PCI, we can actually answer them. And we're not sort of just, referencing third-party materials or putting them off on their developer or whatnot. Like that.
Yeah.
That's big for us in the e-commerce space. The firewall rules and general kind of filtering that we do for our e-commerce clients is big, and again, sort of part of PCI. And then there's the performance piece. So we work really hard on the lower end packages, for our small merchants, to restrict the densities on the servers, right? So if you're in shared hosting, you don't want a lot of noisy neighbors. We just want you to have a couple of neighbors in general. So we're not the cheapest host, but we do charge a little bit more because you're getting a little bit more, for sure. And so having a noisy neighbor does not mean that your performance is going to be impacted or your site's going to slow down, which is definitely in e-commerce. Yeah. And then on the flip side, understanding that large e-commerce sites have a unique set of issues when it comes to driving traffic, and that is, caching, a diverse array of caching strategies, trying to cache shopping carts in different ways, HTTPS and SSL certificates. I'm throwing out a lot of acronyms here, and I don't enjoy doing that, but hopefully people are catching on. But all the secure, being able to serve traffic in a secure way is huge. And so being able to balance both security and performance for our clients, or helping our clients make that balance, is big for us. And so those are the things that we focus on, and like to think that we do really well. If for no other reason, then we do a lot of it. So that's important.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And it's those are some pretty compelling offerings. What about WordPress customers? It's an important segment for Nexcess. And what is it that Nexcess sees about WordPress customers that you appreciate, and how are you investing in serving these customers better?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things on that front. The diversity that we see on the WordPress side, not that e-commerce is monotonous. I mean, it's definitely interesting, but you can build a lot of different things with WordPress, a lot of different sites. There's a lot of different applications there. And so seeing that diversity in our clients is I think one of the things that we appreciate about WordPress. It makes us stretch our skills. So both in sort of architecting solutions, and then on the back end, supporting those solutions. it's good. It's good for us as a business, and like I said, it's interesting. Working on interesting, fun projects is sort of, I think, key from a culture standpoint internally, and WordPress sort of fuels that for us, which is awesome. The nice thing about WordPress is that the way we serve WordPress is that it's very similar to e-commerce, where we don't just stop at the sort of the server side of things. We don't say, well, it's, the server's not the problem, and so we're not going to look into things, right? WordPress is a popular enough application where, our techs coming in are very familiar with WordPress from the get-go, and so we provide extra training. And when you say, hey, I'm having this issue, we don't write code. We're not developers, but we do touch the application. We will get into that for our clients, and I think a lot of our WordPress customers really appreciate the distance that we'll go for them, and to help them out or help guide their feedback to their developers. A lot of times, bridging that communication gap is something that we're doing. So I think that's been really good for us and good for our WordPress clients.
That's pretty cool. And like from a customer perspective, immensely appreciated. I look back at when I first started doing this, and there was a time when this was a learned habit from support interactions. But when I was building WordPress sites in the early days, I learned that if I need help from my host, I better not mention that I'm running WordPress, or that is their easy cop-out to hang up on me. Mm-hmm. And things are really progressing a lot in the industry now. WordPress is so ubiquitous that a lot of hosts are saying, well, we can't just tell all of our customers that it's not our problem anymore. They need more help than that. And when a company like Nexcess is taking that very seriously and really becoming more proficient with the application and helping customers more completely, customers really appreciate that. Despite the fact that I fully recognize how difficult that can be, it is one of those things where you as the host are likely encountering countless instances on a daily basis where it's truly not your problem, but the customer perceives it that way. And so you're obligated to some way address it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a partnership, right? It's sort of the way we look at it. I think, for a business, the businesses now that have a website rely on their website to do business. The relationship between their hosting company and then with their developer, whether that developer is internal or a third party agency or whatnot, those are probably like two of the most critical relationships you can have, and that's the way we approach it. We don't. We're not going to come back to you and pawn it off. If it is, if we don't feel like it's our issue, then we want to show you that it's not our issue, and also help you diagnose what the problem is, right? We may not be the right person to fix it, but we want to help the person who is, whether they're, again, internal or a third party. That's sort of the goal. And we learn as we dig into those. I think we adjust the platform too. I mean, the other piece to that is because we dig a little bit deeper, we see ways that we can kind of improve the platform. We can change the way we're filtering traffic, the way we're versioning, different software on the server side. So, again, it's sort of, because we're willing to go a little bit further, I think it helps us get better ultimately, because we see all the various use cases, especially for a platform like WordPress. That's important.
Yeah. Let's talk about WordCamp Ann Arbor real quick. You haven't had an opportunity yet to attend the event because you're only recently relocated to Michigan, but Nexcess has been a part of WordCamp Ann Arbor since day one. This is our 4th year. Every year Nexcess is right there helping us make this possible. For that, I'm extremely grateful, and I want to extend that thanks to you.
Absolutely.
This year, Nexcess at WordCamp Ann Arbor, helping us not just with a top-level sponsorship, but also funding exclusively our after party. It was super cool, super cool. So much of this event is made possible by our generous sponsors, and Nexcess has been one of the biggest since the very beginning. So when you go to an event like this, and you guys have a table, first off, who's going to be there? And who are you guys really looking to interact with, really hoping to bump into and chat with at the table?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so we will have kind of a variety of folks from Nexcess will be attending. So couple of our kind of long-term and really talented support folks will be at the event. So two of our, I think we're up to like 8 or 9 total Chris's internally now. two of the 9 Chris's will be there, which is cool. And so having, I will say, taking support people, bringing support people with us to events has become one of those things that we do. We definitely do any chance that we can get, but I can't remember an event recently where we didn't. And that's important to us for a couple of reasons. Number one, ultimately that's who you're interacting with, right? Sales kind of gets to be the face at the beginning of a conversation, but the long-term relationship with the client is handled in support. And so introducing those people to the community, and then you talk about who do we want to meet. We definitely want to meet. I mean, I'm a sales guy, so new clients are always kind of sort of top of mind. But realistically, the relationships we're looking for at these events are, number one, we're looking for partners, so developers and people that work at agencies that need a good hosting partner, somebody to come alongside them and sort of fill the gaps on the infrastructure and the server side. That's who we're their sysadmin when they don't have them in house. So that's one of the things we're looking for. And then the second thing, again, aside from new clients, is existing clients. So we're fortunate enough to run into a lot of the events we go to, a lot of Nexcess clients, and so meeting them, putting faces with the names, introducing them to support folks who they may have already interacted with, or have tickets open with, or talked to on the phone. Is always really neat, and something we enjoy doing. It's fun. I used to think it was really fun when a client met a support person and they were like, "Oh, I've talked to you before." What is even cooler is when our support people meet clients that they've been supporting for years, and seeing how excited the support people get. Like they just, it kind of blows their mind. They build these relationships with people through tickets, and then boom, they're actually standing there in person. So we're looking to meet anybody that's a Nexcess client. We definitely want them to stop by. We'll have some good swag at the booth. We try and stay high quality there with hats and shirts and stickers and whatnot. So we've got several boxes sitting in our office right now of swag stuff that we'll be bringing. So make sure to stop by and check that out too. That's always fun. Free shirts and free cups and everything is maybe the best part of any conference.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I love bringing home things like Nexcess screen cleaners, and Nexcess t-shirts and so much more. I love what you described with the support interactions with attendees, because it's a great summary of something I'm super passionate about. I love encouraging sponsors to attend the event. Now and then we'll get sponsors who say, "Hey, we want to sponsor and get our logo on the website, and so we'll ship you some swag that you can put up." But I'm always coming back to them. I'm really encouraging sponsors to attend, because, well, your money is great to help us put on a fun event. It really delivers a lot of value to the attendees to have you there and have that interaction. When you as a host are meeting customers face to face, or me, I even meet our customers face to face now and then, and those interactions are incredible and so meaningful, and just change the dynamic of the relationship between the customer and the provider. So these in-person events are just a big deal, and I think it's super awesome that you and a big team are going to be there interacting with everybody, prospective clients and current clients as well. So right on, and thanks for the great summary of what I just reiterated. So you described already a little bit of what we can look forward to. You're bringing some cool stuff, which was going to be my next question. What do we have to look forward to? Mm-hmm. But I can ask you, what do we have to look forward to from Nexcess in the future? Like, what are you excited about that Nexcess has working on? And just tell me what's the future hold?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing for us is probably cloud is coming soon at Nexcess, and we'll have a couple of different flavors of that. Initially, we'll sort of just be virtualizing and building out a lot of our existing offerings in a cloud infrastructure. And then come early, 2018, early next year, we've got some really exciting stuff with web application environments where each virtual machine is it's only running a single service. So right now, any server that you're hosted on is handling PHP and it's running Linux, obviously, and Apache and MySQL on the database side, right? It's doing multiple roles, terminating SSL and all that kind of good stuff. And I think what we see as the future in general in hosting infrastructure is like Google is calling it serverless hosting, which is, I don't know, it's an interesting label to put on it, but essentially each VM or each server only does one job, is literally just specialized and is only running PHP or is only running MySQL or whatever the application is. So yeah, so we're really excited about launching that. We'll have some information about those application environments at the event. Happy to talk about that. But yeah, cloud. We acknowledge that we've been a little late to the game, and I think that's because we didn't understand why you would take existing architecture and just virtualize it. Like there are some advantages there, but like why not re-architect or think about the way you actually build stuff in the cloud instead of just making it the same and virtualizing it. So that's something we've been thinking about a lot over the last year or so, and are excited to finally start launching it and talking about it publicly and whatnot. So yeah, that's what we've got in the pipeline.
That sounds like some pretty cool stuff. Very educational. Yeah, I wish I had time to ask you more about that. We might have to do that on another day and just learn in greater detail about how some of these things work. Josh, thank you so much for coming to join me today. And I really look forward to hanging out with you in just a couple weeks at the Rackham Graduate Building in downtown Ann Arbor. If anybody's tuning in, you don't have your ticket yet, please go get your tickets. We need that taken care of, and definitely come to the after party, which is brought to you exclusively by Nexcess this year. Thank you very much, Nexcess. And definitely make a point to visit the Nexcess table. Thank Josh for his team sponsoring the event and for coming out and supporting us.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Kyle. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, I look forward to it. It'll be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a total blast. All right. Thanks, Josh.